Pauline Swift here for Our World on Something News. I'm here with Stefan James. He's a wonderful attorney for the past 30 years. And tell me, what inspired you to become an attorney?
Well, first of all, thank you very, very much for coming to our location and
Of course.
performing this interview, because we definitely appreciate the work and the efforts that you and your organization have done in this community. And we certainly want to support that, and we do support that. So thank you. I was inspired primarily by my interest in justice. You know, I grew up during the civil rights era in the 60s and 70s and saw the struggles that we as a people had to go through, and some of the, just to get the basic human rights that are afforded to other people, we have to fight, strike, march for, and die for. And I just always felt that there was a need for someone to pick up the mantle to whatever degree we can. So that was one of my greatest, among other, inspirations to become an attorney.
Did your family support you with what you was doing?
Yes, everybody in my family, I believe even to this day, was in full agreement that I could become an attorney. I was very inspired by their support, their encouragement, and the fact that no one has ever doubted my abilities to become an attorney. They felt I had the mind for it and the stamina to get through the studies. And I was determined. In fact, so determined that I graduated from my college in 2.5 years, New York University, and my law school in 2.5 years. So I became an attorney 5 years.
So you're a very brilliant young man.
Well, or determined young man, for sure. I'll leave it to others to determine how brilliant I am.
Yeah.
But certainly I was inspired and determined. And as a result, I've been an attorney for over 30 years. And I'm very, very happy that I made this career choice.
I know you practice different types of laws.
Mm-hmm.
Which one is your favorite out of all the laws that you practice?
Out of all the areas of law that I practice, I would say primarily 65 to 70% of my practice is criminal defense work. And that would probably be my favorite if I had to pick one favorite. But it's certainly one that I feel I can be the most effective and really affect the lives of people the most. Because when your loved one is in a quagmire or a twist of a criminal case, with the right attorney, it can change the outcome of where their life could be. And to this day, I have people who come to me now who I represented 25, 30 years ago, who are now, they were teenagers then with their mom, and they're now fathers themselves or mothers themselves. And they thank me to this day. So I've seen that as recently as last month. So
now your practice is here in Southern Boulevard, which is Jamaica, Queens.
Correct.
Tell me how you feel about the police department and all the stuff that's been going on over the past 20 years as an attorney.
Well, when I first became an attorney, I was an assistant prosecutor in Kings County. And I wanted to learn enough about the business of practicing criminal law on both sides so that I could be an effective advocate for people who were wrongfully, in many instances, but accused of crime. And I think that the police today makes the job of a prosecutor tougher in many instances when you see the situations that we see where they're abusing their power against the citizenry. And you know, there was a time when, and I don't know if this is good or bad, but where the citizenry kind of gave the police the benefit of the doubt. But now when you see such injustices going on in the street day in and day out being filmed, I think the citizenry has now learned that sometimes you have to question what they say when they come into the courtroom. So they've made a prosecutor's job much more difficult, I believe.
Okay. Now, what would you say to a black young man how to stay safe in this community? I mean, we're dealing with a lot of, I see the police back and forth constantly running up and down because I live on Suffolk.
Okay.
And I see them being handcuffed and you have to wonder, is all this warranted? You know, you see like 5, 6, 7 cop cars come.
Right.
You know, and you're intimidated.
Right.
Now, not everybody's doing something wrong, but people do mistake people for somebody else.
Correct.
How would you say that minorities should respond back, being that you're an attorney?
Well, the first thing I would admonish and advise anyone to do is to let them know that they have an attorney, and or that they wish to have an attorney, and they don't wish to be interviewed unless and until that attorney is present. I tell it to all the people who pass through this office. I tell it to youngsters when we speak publicly, and I do go around the city and state speaking to young people at high schools and other forum. And I would admonish anyone who's listening to this interview, if you ever stop by the police, the first thing you want to do is simply identify yourself, which is required by law, and nothing more. Don't engage in any sort of conversation. Don't engage in any sort of interviews, interrogations. Don't participate unless and until you have your attorney present. And if you don't have an attorney, you can use my name.
I love that. I see you have a plaque here for 30 years. Can you please show the audience? Oh, this is beautiful. 30 years anniversary. Proudly serving the community since 1988.
Yes, ma'am.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
This is beautiful.
Thank you very much. That was a plaque that was awarded to me by the Martindale-Hubbell people who track quality attorneys around the country in all the states. And I hadn't even realized it until they brought it to my attention 5 years ago. There's one up there that I had 25 years in.
Okay.
So that's when I realized that it went by so quickly. I remember coming out of law school and taking my first job and doing my first case in the Kings County DA's office.
So the 30 years have gone by swiftly.
Gone by very swiftly and very, very, I would say, enjoyably too, because while practicing law, and particular criminal law, has its heartbreaking moments, if you care about people, you're going to have some, emotional times in this business. It is a rewarding occupation as well, if you're in it for the right reasons, and if you care about people and you like helping people. It definitely gives you the opportunity to help. So when you love what you do, they say you never work a day in your life.
It's true. Now, I know you practice entertainment law. Now, that seems to be very exciting.
That's exciting. What we do is we handle contracts and bookings for artists. I primarily handle the legal work to make sure that they're not getting shortchanged and not getting the Joe Louis treatment.
Getting ripped off, as they say.
As they say, that's the Joe Louis treatment. For those of you who might be too young to know what that is, that's when you do everything you can, you bring in all the money, and all the expenses and bills comes out of your end. Yes. Everyone else makes the profit, and you get all the bills. So, we try to look out for the entertainers today so that they're not, mistreated like they have been in the past and end up broke. So I try to look out for their contracts. I try to look out for their bookings, and we make arrangements so that those who are making a substantial amount of money can have good investments as well. So I give that sort of guidance as well.
Well, that's beautiful.
Absolutely.
Tell me, Stephan, what would you like to do that you have not done yet with your life?
That's a good question. I don't know, maybe at some point with respect to practicing law, maybe be a judge. I think that our services for a conscious, concerned, community-oriented black man or woman, you want to be everything to everyone. You want to be everywhere. We're needed everywhere.
True.
And after practicing law for over 30 years, maybe with respect to continuing in the legal field, being a judge and affecting things in a positive way from that perspective and from that vantage point might be something in the future.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to your younger self?
Which one? The 10-year-old Stephan? The 20-year-old Stephan? Or the 30-year-old Stephan?
The 30 years. Beautiful.
I would say regarding
life.
Well, I would say to that person and to all you 30-year-olds out there, you really learn how to live life when you get past 40. So you're still kind of learning, you're still a learnee about life as you're going through those first 40 years. And be careful, keep your eyes open, keep your nose dry, and just, respect what you're learning around yourself, and don't get tied up into too many things that'll affect your life for the rest of your life until you really understand what life is all about. And I think it takes you a good 40 plus years to get to the point where you've kind of mastered what living is all about.
Isn't it sad? It takes that long, and then you start, deteriorating.
You peak, and then you start going on the other side. Yes, but that's what I would say. It takes you a good 30, 40 years just to learn how to live. Mm-hmm. All the other stuff is just time spent learning. Yeah.
Could you tell the audience where you're located at?
Yes, we're on Sutphin Boulevard, right off of Hillside Avenue, about 3 stores south of Hillside at 87-66 Sutphin Boulevard, Jamaica, New York. And the zip code, for those of you who want to write to me, is 11435. The law firm of Stephen G. James and Associates, PLLC. And our phone number is 646-905-9000 or 646-905-7001. Right here on Sutphin Boulevard in Jamaica.
Thank you, Mr. James, for this wonderful time that you spent with me.
My pleasure.
I really appreciate that. Pauline Swift for Our World on Sutphin News, where your news reflects you and your community. Thank you.
Thank you, Pauline. Appreciate you.